Welcome to the Solid Verbal. The Solid Verbal.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
I've heard so many players say, well, I want to be happy. You want to be happy for a day? Eat a steak.
It's that woo-woo!
And now, Dan and Ty.
Welcome back to the Solid Verbal, boys and girls. My name is Ty Hildenbrand. Joining me, as always, my trusted co-host, my colleague, my friend of many years. His name is Dan Rubenstein. Sir, how are you?
I'm good. Ty, I cannot tell you how excited I am for this. I feel like we are in that moment. Remember the television program Lost?
No. What's that?
Just
Never heard of it.
Sure, Ty. You're down on sleep.
I'm a little tired. Was up late working, but I'm among the living here. I'm going to try and patch this together as best I can.
Okay, so every 108 days, minutes, whatever, I think 108 minutes, you had to insert a certain code. I feel like there is a buildup of questionable opinions right now because we have not done a Q&A on this show in so long that I have so many thoughts, Ty.
So here is the deal. Since the season started, really since the beginning of August, we haven't had a good opportunity to do a Q&A. It might go back all the way to our live show. And we didn't even publish that Q&A as kind of a special bonus to the people who paid to come out and see us in New York City. So we've had a bunch of questions building up. We put out a call across all of our social media platforms earlier today that we wanted your questions, your comments, your concerns. We're going to try and address as many of those as we can over the next 45 minutes or so. We also have a special guest, some bonus content that we're going to play a little bit later on in the show. But this is going to be a free-flowing conversation. I thought maybe up front, you and I should lay down some ground rules, okay?
Let's.
First and foremost, no
safe
editing.
Word.
No safe word.
Okay,
no editing.
Safe word.
No editing is the safe word.
Okay.
No editing whatsoever. I'm tired. I want to get this published as close to hitting stop as possible so people have more chance to digest it before the week's activities. And I just don't want to go through that tonight. So absolutely no editing is rule number one.
Is there really, and I'm looking through these questions, which are all pretty fantastic. I don't think there's anything super timely. I know we have like a Wisconsin fan question about this upcoming weekend, but beyond that, it seems pretty evergreen, I would say.
Absolutely. We could go off this document for future Q&A shows if we really wanted.
For sure.
So that's rule number one. Rule number two, I actually didn't come up with a rule number two. Rule number one is rule number two.
That's the biggest one. Yeah.
So no editing. This is going to be raw and unfettered this evening here, a Solid Verbal Q&A show.
Okay.
Where should we start?
I like that, Ty. Let's start right here. So we have a mix of, I asked specifically for a combination of college football, Solid Verbal, weather, holiday, travel. Was there anything else?
Pretty much
maybe?
Anything. Anything that people had on their minds.
Cold weather, holidays, travel, anything else, Solid Verbal, college football. Okay, let's start here because it's a phrasing that we've adopted this year. This is from Michael Cooper. I can only assume the former Laker. What are your parameters for giving someone a dude alert?
Oh.
He has the little siren emoji. In real life, new job, helping someone move in, getting married. Who deserves a dude alert? And that dude, like the word dude, extends to everybody, not just traditionally speaking, the men out there.
Right. So, okay, I have always used the nomenclature that somebody's a good dude.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like in general. I don't advertise it. I might use that terminology when I'm talking about somebody else with my friends. But my bar for what qualifies you as a good dude is relatively low. Like, just be cool, be affable, be helpful, be friendly. I suppose a female could be a good dude, but that might not be the most appropriate way to
I feel like
call
dude
it
is
out.
sort of ubiquitous right now.
Yeah, so I have a very low bar for what I would consider a quote-unquote dude alert in real life. Obviously, if you make a big career move, get a promotion, you get married, something breaks for you in life in a positive direction, then that would be an uppercase dude. You're a dude. Dude. But beyond that, I don't know if I have a real definition around it.
Here's my dude advice, and it's centered around being thoughtful. Checking in with somebody you haven't spoken with in a long time. Just see how they're doing. No real reason, no concern, no excitement, anything like that. Like, hey, haven't spoken in a while. People that do that, Ty, dudes.
Do you feel like the word dude is overused?
On this show, yes.
On this show, yes, but I'm talking about there amongst the normal humans.
I am from Southern California. So there is not enough dude that could possibly exist.
So hold on now. Let me keep it there.
Mm-hmm.
Living here on the East Coast, growing up here, we kind of had this impression of what people on the West Coast were like. You were all surfer dudes, hang 10. Like, how accurate was that depiction of West Coast people?
I mean, it's about as accurate as anybody from Pennsylvania beats up people in a parking lot of a sports game, right?
Okay, yeah, right.
It's basically like, okay, maybe you went to high school in Orange County at somewhere near the water. But beyond that, no, West Coast, go to Eastern Oregon. You will not think it is the West Coast.
Right,
go to Eastern any of those states, and it's not what you think it is. So, no, it is not accurate. There is a small subsection, but no, not accurate.
Have you ever used the term cowabunga in real life?
Not seriously. Not with any sort of earnesty. No.
Okay, and you're not a green turtle either. Interesting. Okay.
I think I missed, so I graduated high school in 2001, so I missed the bruh, like the BRUH.
Yeah.
And I'm Southern California, and Northern California is hella. That is not a Southern California thing. So I don't know. I was in a gray area. But yeah, there was certainly people that leaned into that affect where I went to high school. Sure.
Affect. Good usage. Where are we going next here? Thank you, Mr. Cooper.
Let's go to Abbott. Long time. With Ohio State looking human against Iowa. What percentage does Michigan have for pulling the upset? So that game is in Ann Arbor, I believe.
It is in Ann Arbor. I'm looking right now at the S&P Plus. Bill Connolly does a good job putting out the win probability. Yes. It changes every week depending on a team's performance, mind you. But right now, you might be surprised to learn that Ohio State's win probability over Michigan is 68%, which means 32% is the probability that Michigan could actually knock off Ohio State. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that number is probably a lot higher than people would expect.
The 32?
The 32.
See, I think it might be even a little higher than 32.
Yeah, I agree. I think it could be higher than 32, personally. But even if you're looking at the team page and seeing 32, I could see that catching a lot of people off guard. Like, wow, I didn't realize Michigan was that good.
Well, Michigan has the added advantage right now of the backup being better than the starter, and then that backup's backup being better than the backup. So, well, and also those numbers those are Wilton Spate, the mostly Wilton Spate, John O'Korn numbers.
Sure.
So
that's true.
Brandon Peters obviously is the best of the three, and the only quarterback he is not better than is his own backup by proxy, Dylan McCaffrey. So yeah, I'd say Michigan has like 37-38% chance, somewhere in there.
And it's a rivalry game, which means you throw the records out.
Gotta throw those records out.
I would play the sound, but my soundboard is currently dead and charging.
There it is.
Yeah, there you go.
Next question, and I loved this question, Ty. If Buzz Lightyear doesn't know he's a toy in the first Toy Story movie, why doesn't he talk when humans are around?
This is just an egregious oversight by Disney.
I think there's probably an explanation here, Ty, if we want to dig into it. If Buzz Lightyear does not know he's a toy in the first Toy Story movie, why doesn't he talk when humans are around? I don't think he can really help it. Like, I don't think he has the self-awareness to know that he is a toy and that he shouldn't be talking when humans are around. I just think that's what he is doing, Ty.
He's saying, why doesn't he talk when humans are around? Not why.
Well, he doesn't know that toys are programmed to not be able to talk in front of humans, basically. But then, of course, later in the movie, Woody does.
Woody does, right. So it's not consistent. I think the toys can talk around humans. They just don't because they don't want to be found out.
I just think Buzz does not even have the spatial awareness to know.
I don't think that's a good enough explanation. I think it's an oversight. I think
you really do think it's an oversight?
I think they screwed it up. Yeah, because why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he talk? If he didn't know he was a toy, what would be the rationale for him not talking around humans?
Maybe it's something about the way toy civilization operates, that toys can't really interact in an organic way until they are only with each other alone.
Interesting. It could be like that movie with Amy Adams that I can't remember. What was the movie? It just
Inside Out.
No, not Inside Out.
Was Amy Poehler.
Amy Adams was in it. They went up in the spaceship. She was reading this advanced alien language.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It was a good movie. I forget the title of it.
Yeah, I know the movie you're talking about. Yeah.
But it could be a situation like that where toys are unable to perceive humans the same way that we would perceive other humans. Therefore, they kind of, to your point, don't make the full connection.
Correct. I think that's right. Next question. Does Matt Campbell move on from Iowa State at the end of the year? That comes to us from Scott.
He's going to have some offers, don't you think?
He will have offers. He is from the Midwest, which, again, it doesn't mean all that much. I don't think it means as much as people constantly say, well, he's a Midwestern guy. He's going to want to stay. You know what? I'm a West Coast guy, and I made a stupid decision to move out east. So, there's all sorts of weirdnesses that happen that happen with occupations and seeking employment. What is your intuition? Do you think he surfs this wave of leverage and popularity?
Well, let me ask you this. Let me answer your question with another question.
Yeah.
What is his ceiling right now? If Florida were to come to Matt Campbell and say, are you interested in this job? Matt Campbell would probably be interested in Florida. Who wouldn't be interested in Florida?
Sure.
But the question is, would Florida go after a guy like a Matt Campbell? Is he considered good enough to be coach at Florida? Do schools view him as that kind of coaching talent? What is his ceiling?
He's still very young. And mind you, Iowa State has lost a coach to a major SEC job recently, and he won a national championship. And so there was that.
Sure.
But we love you, Gene Chizik. Michael Dyer's elbow is down. I don't know if that's a similar situation because Gene Chizik had coached so much in that region and had built up contacts in a way that I don't believe Matt Campbell has, having only coached in, it looks like Toledo, Iowa State. He was at Bowling Green, so in that general vicinity. So I would imagine if he is able to parlay this into a bigger job, it would be probably a little bit closer because of his age and recruiting contacts. Because Florida is just such a big deal job, and it's such a unique job.
Right.
That I think they're shooting for the moon. And Matt Campbell's a rising star, but he's not right. He's not there yet.
So Scott's question, though, was, will he move on at the end of the year? Let's put a percentage on that. I would say there's a 40% chance of him moving on at the end of the year.
I'm going to say 30. I just can't connect is it Tennessee? Is it Arkansas? If Arkansas opens up, is it Nebraska? Nebraska may make sense.
Nebraska would make the most sense. Yeah.
Nebraska is going to shoot higher probably and probably not get there, but Matt Campbell, young, whereas they've hired a little older more recently, or always. That is a situation where I could see him saying, well, the Big Ten West is certainly winnable, and they look at him saying that he's transformed this program that is perennially, having a ceiling of 7-8 wins, whatever, and he's taken them to this unprecedented recent high. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So you say 30, I say 40.
30%.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is still pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
Next question, Ty. This is from Max, and I don't fully understand this, which is why we're going to ask it.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the surprise wedding trend?
Surprise wedding trend.
So I think I know what this means.
Please explain. I'd love to know what this means.
I think it refers to like, hey, we're having a birthday party for Jenny. It's a surprise party. Or maybe it's not a surprise party, but we're having a birthday party for Jenny. It's really important that you all come, and maybe you invite, 40, 50 people, and you get there and it's a wedding.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a surprise for the couple, thankfully.
Right. No, that would be a bit concerning, would it not?
Yes, it's a surprise for the attendees.
Okay. I had never heard of this before. Which is why
I think they did this on Parks and Recreation.
I kind of like the idea.
Yeah.
And I say that because I've planned a
casual.
Wedding. Yeah, I've planned a wedding before, as have you.
Yep.
And I could tell you, if I could cut a lot of that out, no disrespect to my wonderful wife, I know she feels the same about it. If we cut a lot of that out and just sort of get everybody there under a different pretense, I'd be totally cool with that. Totally cool with that.
Sometimes people do it around holidays because then people generally have time off, New Year's Eve, July 4th, those kinds of things where, if it's July 4th, you're in a backyard and everybody's already pretty happy that they have a long summer weekend or something like that. And then there's just icing. That's the cherry.
I think the key element of a surprise wedding, though, would be getting people to come to it. Because if it is truly to remain a surprise, and people are thinking it's a birthday ceremony, something else, what do you do to strong arm them to be like, no, you got to be there this time. You don't understand. How do you do that without giving away the game?
That's the question. I think that's the tricky part. And sometimes I think people will sort of have an idea at this point where like, ooh, they're really pushing for us to be there. I wonder. But no, I think that's the fair question. I think typically this probably happens when the couple doesn't have a big family contingent that is important to them to be there from like out of town and stuff like that, where you're just like, you know what? This is our little crew and we're going to surprise everybody. And if they don't come, they don't come. That's cool. We'll hang out with them another time. The
baller move would be to do it at a Halloween party.
That'd be wonderful.
That would be the time to do it. So
in costume.
I'm okay with it. I don't think it would fly in my family per se, because I've got a bigger family. But
sure,
if the situation permits, I'd be totally cool with it. We've said it on this show time and time again, whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you happy, we're down with that.
This seems like a cool thing for people that are especially spontaneous. Why not?
I'll tell you this, it's better than a promposal.
Oh, no. Is that a real term?
It's a real term. It's better than that.
Don't do that.
Next
Folks,
question.
Take it from Ty and Dan. Wait a second or two to get married. That's according to us. Is Miami really good? This comes for us from Brett. Or are people overreacting to the Virginia Tech game?
By the way, a promposal is not asking someone to marry you at the prom. It's
not. Oh, okay.
No, it's going way over the top and asking someone to go to the prom.
Oh, that's
just FYI.
Too. Be creative. Don't make a spectacle.
Just needed to set the record straight.
Yes.
Okay.
Is Miami really good, or are people overreacting to the Virginia Tech game? This question comes to us. We're doing this show in early to mid-November.
Yeah.
And as of this moment, Ty, what are your thoughts?
I think Miami's defense is really good. I think Miami's defense is really good, really consistent. I think they're going to give Notre Dame a really hard time this weekend. They will change Notre Dame's offensive game plan. There's not a doubt in my mind about that.
Okay.
It is Miami's offense that I have more questions about. I have questions about Malik Rozier and if he's able to not turn the ball over like 3 times like he did a week ago. I have questions about the running game against a better defense now that Mark Walton's hurt and Travis Homer's been okay, but remains to be seen against a really good defense. I have questions about the receiving corps staying healthy. They've had some issues with that as well. So I have more questions on offense than I do on defense. I think defense as a whole is really good. Miami as a whole, I'm content to say they're really good, but they haven't been consistent enough for me to feel confident about them week in and week out.
Not losing into November is very difficult in the Power 5 conference.
Totally.
I am happy to say Miami is really good. That my bar for really good is, do they keep winning games? Do they appear to be talented? Do they appear to be considerably behind other teams? I don't believe that's the case. There's a difference between really good and, say, excellent. I think Miami's really good. And this is year 2. So within the context of Miami, year 2 of Mark Richt and having a ton of youth, Miami's really good.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Next question. Eddie?
Okay.
Favorite movie snacks and most annoying ones.
Ooh.
Parenthetically, that others eat.
Wow. Okay. It might be the most boring answer, but popcorn to me is timeless as a movie snack.
Okay. Do you have a specific, do you do the buttery, greasy pump popcorn?
I do.
Do you do the microwave? Oh, you do. At the theater, you will ask for a couple pumps.
Yeah. Wow. I'm fine with that, but I'm going to say this. If I'm going to go alternative snack, I go snow caps.
Love a snow cap.
I love a good snow cap. A little nonpareil. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So outside of popcorn, snow caps for me.
See, I like a dry popcorn. Like kettle corn to me is great. I'm fine with that. It's dry. There's no grease factor. I have a problem with getting a ton of grease on my hands. I just don't like that. And I don't want that experience in a movie theater. So I go candy. I skew candy over popcorn unless it is a drier corn. Snow caps and Reese's Pieces to me. So the annoying thing is I don't like it when people, for whatever reason, order like a meal. And I'm not talking about the good theaters where it's like good meals where you're ordering a breakfast sandwich or you're ordering a burger or something. That's fine to me. It's when people go and get like the microwavable pizza or the roller hot dogs.
Whoa.
Not with it, Ty.
People get microwavable pizza and take it in the movie theater.
You go to a movie theater and there's pizza that's maybe not microwavable. It's sitting under a heat lamp and it's clearly just pre-made and
right.
It's just gross to me. I don't know. I don't like looking at it, Ty.
I don't have so much a problem with that. I think it's a questionable life decision. The one that I find most annoying are like Whoppers. And it's not because I have any aversion to Whoppers. It's just they're so damn loud. You know, we're concentrated on the movie and you're over there. It sounds like you're moving a pile of rocks when you're dumping them out of the box. I think you need to consider the other people who have paid good money to see the movie before you procure any kind of movie snack.
I'm also out on people getting like 400-ounce Cokes in a theater.
Yeah, that's too much.
And then it's followed by like, excuse me, I'm sorry, excuse me, I'm sorry, excuse me, I'm okay. Well, sorry about that. Yeah, I don't need that in my life.
If you go with the big gulp, it'll cost you about $12.50. In today's movie, in the modern movie theater, that's going to set you back a pretty penny. One thing that I will call out here, just since we're talking about movie snacks, I had a friend who was notorious for actually going to Yakko's Hot Dogs, which was right by the movie theater that I used to go to when I was in high school.
Right.
And you remember starter jackets, right?
Of course.
He had the big pouch in the front. And this guy had a Lakers starter jacket. And he would load up with about 3 or 4 Yakko dogs in that front pouch and then take them into the movie theater. So he didn't have to buy anything there, but he was still, satisfying his inners by going Yakko dog.
See, I'm mixed on that, Ty. I respect the ingenuity. I respect the thoughtfulness, thinking ahead. It's not a movie theater dog. I'm okay with that.
I mean, I was always amazed he never got caught because it looked like he was walking in there with a bulletproof vest.
How much do you think teenage ushers care about anything?
No. Exactly. I'm with that. But I'm just saying it was so out of place and so ridiculous that, either he was a 500-pound man or he had something in his pocket he was trying to sneak in.
This comes to us from, it looks like... Oh, it's Holfax. It's our Reddit buddy. What do you think it would take for UCF to be thought of as at least as legitimate to the College Football Playoff Committee? The resume is arguably equal, if not better, than Wisconsin's. Yet Wisco is 10 spots ahead, and UCF is only 4 spots ahead of Memphis, who they destroyed. At this point, what do you think it would take?
I think it would take a full-on rebrand of Central Florida to just old Florida.
Florida. No, we found these spare helmets.
I think it would take a rebrand.
Yeah, it's
I don't think they are taken seriously because they're not in a Power 5 conference. And I think there are some teams that are in Power 5 conferences that, even if they won out, still wouldn't be taken seriously. Maybe to a lesser degree. But certainly UCF, we've seen it with Boise State. We saw it with TCU before TCU was in the Big 12. Like, this is the thing. This is a problem. This is part of why football bowl subdivision is a bit of a farce. You've got this playoff system, you got this bowl system, but at the end of the day, if UCF, if USF, if any of those teams went undefeated, you think they'd get a playoff spot over a 1 or 2 loss Notre Dame? Over an Alabama? You think they'd put them in? I don't.
I think the statement is clear with the rankings and what we've seen rankings at the end of the year. Unless you are a team that has become such a perennial powerhouse, both within your conference and in the non-conference part of your schedule, like Boise State was, like Houston looked like it was going to do with Tom Herman, at least in the short term, then it's just, I mean, this doesn't really address the question. I don't know what UCF can do for, in the next month, even if they obliterate everybody 50-13. It's just the playoff was specifically set up to keep teams like UCF out. And it's sort of garbage. And I hope that at a certain point, the playoff at least expands to the point where making it in is still important because there's still only, 6 to 8 spots, something like that. But there is a group of 5 inclusion component just because you want everybody to have tension and drama throughout the season.
Right.
And there are going to be years where, Boise's going to be great and Houston's going to be great and say Toledo's going to be, where we are saying you're in the party. You're part of the club. And I think this sort of does a disservice. And I know that they probably, almost assuredly can't compete. But those Boise teams could.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I was going to say Boise is probably about as close. Boise and TCU are about as close as we've come to.
BYU back in the day, yeah.
You're right, but recently, Boise, TCU, those teams have been as close as I think we've gotten among group of 5 teams to really getting up on that elite level. And it is a tale of 2 cities. I don't mean to paint a hopeless picture here if you're a group of 5 fan, but I just got to be honest. I don't see it happening until they change the playoff system around. The great inequality is that a team like Boise, when they go 10, 11, 12, and 0, they're not only judged on how they did that season, but how they looked in the previous 5. Whereas if Ole Miss were to go undefeated this year, well, of course I picked the worst possible example in Ole Miss, but let's say Notre Dame. If Notre Dame goes 11-1, 12-0 in any season, despite the fact that they went 4-8 a year ago, they would absolutely get that nod. People wouldn't think twice about it. So it's just a tale of 2 cities.
I think you need to have a program as a machine, and that machine needs to be tested. All those commercials, right. We test our Samsung phones, and they have the thing that's just punching the phone over and over again.
Yeah, right.
That I think is sort of a similar bar for group of 5 teams. I love this next question, Ty.
Okay.
Dearly.
Yeah.
How low is the bar, speaking of bar, for too informal when flying on an airplane?
Oh, wow. Good question.
I stick to gym shorts. And a hoodie, but I'm always flying economy. Is this too informal? Ty, your thoughts?
Jim, what was this gentleman's name?
I don't know if I should be protecting it. It's Daniel.
Daniel.
Yeah.
Gym shorts and a hoodie. I'm all about comfort.
Absolutely.
When I fly on the plane. So right now, I'm wearing, a pair of jogging pants and a t-shirt in the comfort of my own home.
You're not sitting next to anybody 30,000 feet in the air.
I might go a little bit more formal to fly. I'm not beneath wearing the sweatpants, wearing some sort of nicer jogging pants on the plane.
Right.
I am totally cool with wearing what most would consider workout gear on the bird, but I don't know about the gym shorts thing.
So there's a certain line of thinking that says, in your everyday life, dress like you're about to meet the love of your life, or dress like you're about to meet, somebody who's going to give you your dream job, something that says you should look not your best, but you should look like something you'd be proud to be seen in. And I think in a plane, especially when it's close quarters, gym shorts, all of a sudden it's riding up your thigh, and dudes have just patches of weirdness on their legs and hair. It's just you've got cuts, you got bruises. I'm fine with a hoodie, obviously. Hoodies are fine. Gym shorts it's probably a bit too far. And I understand if you live in a really humid or warm climate that, in the car on the way over in the airport might be gross. I understand maybe saying, all right, I'm going to wear a pair of shorts. But gym shorts, it's just I think that's a bridge too far, Ty. I might agree with you. My normal attire when I'm on a plane is jeans and a comfortable shirt and a pair of sneakers. Sure.
That's usually my attire. I would not think twice about wearing a nicer pair of jogging pants or upscale version of jogging pants.
You'd wear jogging pants. I think that's fine.
Something like that I would wear.
Let me veer in a very similar direction.
Yeah.
What's happening to your shoes mid-flight?
What's happening to them?
Yeah, are they staying on your feet?
Oh, they're definitely staying on my feet.
Why definitely?
Why definitely?
Yeah.
How many places do you feel comfortable taking your shoes off in this world?
Many.
You take your shoes off at work?
I do not take my shoes off at work. But there are some people at work that change shoes once here to wear more comfortable shoes.
But they're still wearing shoes when they're at work.
Correct. I do not take my shoes off at work.
I would not take my shoes off on a plane. Are you kidding me?
But I don't work in a pressurized cabin either.
So whoa. Are you trying to justify this because you just got done saying you should dress as if you're going to meet the love of your life, the next CEO of the company you might work at?
Sure.
It's okay to take your shoes off, but not okay to wear gym shorts.
So I will take shoes off, hear me out, when wearing pants on a flight, and I every day wear 2 pairs of socks, which I believe probably helps with, I don't think I have stinky feet. I hope I don't have stinky feet, but I would suggest that helps with foot stink, right?
What? You take your shoes off on a plane?
Only cross country.
Only cross country.
Yeah. If I'm flying to Chicago, if I'm flying to Austin, if I'm flying to Miami, something like that, no, shoes are staying on. If I'm going cross country, I say, you know what? This is a long one.
That's disgusting.
Absolutely not. I stand by it.
What do you do in a car? What's proper attire for a long
If I were driving cross country, I might take my shoes off.
Could you wear gym shorts?
Ty, in a car, depends who's in the car with me.
Let's just say it's you and your brothers.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't have this conversation with you anymore. I don't want to think less of you, so let's just move on.
One of my central life tenets is you are only as comfortable as your feet are.
No, I know. We've done this for 10 years. I know the central tenet.
I apologize for nothing.
Next question, please. I can't do this
Michael San Martino, Thanksgiving eats, traditional or nah?
Traditional or nah? So he's saying, do you go turkey? Do you prefer turkey? Do you want to go?
Mm-hmm. We had a lot of this question in various forms.
Yeah, we did. I am all in favor of traditional.
Okay. What is traditional in the Hildenbrandt Colarusso household?
Traditional would be the bird.
Mm-hmm. How's it prepared?
In the oven, Mama H.
Okay. Roasted.
Yep, roasted in the oven.
Pre-brine?
I don't know what that means, to be honest.
You soak a bird in like a bath of like salt water that helps to sort of keep it, infuse it with juices kind of thing.
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
I'm not against that, but I don't think that's how she prepares it.
All right, so you have the turkey.
Got the turkey. Standard issue, homemade stuffing. We got the corn. We got the mashed potatoes. The underrated cranberry sauce that comes directly from a can, which probably has 1 million grams of sugar, but I love it nonetheless.
Sure.
All the usual fixins for me.
See, I don't know if I've talked about this on the show. I probably have.
You should talk about this because this is a great story.
So, and I think this is increasing more and more. So Thanksgiving's not really about the food. I mean, the concept of you get together with, friends and family and loved ones, whatever, and some people hate each other, some people love each other, whatever. And it's just about sort of the communal aspect of everybody getting together and hanging out and hopefully speaking like humans, right?
Correct.
Ostensibly, that's what Thanksgiving is. If you are getting together with all these people and you have a loving home, whatever, it doesn't really matter what you eat. And I think if everybody's sort of on the same page, where that page is, we're not crazy about, stuffing and mashed potatoes and turkey, whatever. I find turkey to be pretty dry as a centerpiece. My family feels this way. And what we do is we do a hybrid Thanksgiving. So there are certain traditional aspects. We have like a broccoli casserole and we have stuffing and I think we have sweet potatoes and I think we just roast a turkey breast. But the other half of the coin, Ty, is we do a Chinese Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
There's a Chinese place near my parents' house and they do basically a Peking style turkey, like Peking style duck, where, the turkey sits in buttermilk and it's slow spit roasted and you get the real crispy skin and they give you a bunch of sauces like a Chinese gravy with your turkey. And then when my dad goes to pick it up, he says, "Well, why don't you throw in some barbecue pork fried rice? Why don't you throw in some lobster and black bean sauce? Why don't you give us some of that dim sum, some of those buns?" So we end up having a hybrid Thanksgiving. We have pie at the end of it. So I think that's the way to go. Ryan Nanny, for a long time, our pal Ryan has talked about, and I think they're finally doing it this year. They will do a Thanksgiving inspired like Mexican meal. So he'll make like a mole, or he'll make turkey enchiladas, something like that I think everybody appreciates a little bit more. And I say, if that's something that appeals to you, I say just go for it. Just do it. Make everybody happy.
Yeah, I'm more traditional. I think
turkey's sort of garbage to me.
Nah, I'm a turkey fan.
It's dry. You can smoke it or fry it, and it's a little bit better, but I don't know.
I'm team turkey right here, all the way.
I'd rather have another protein.
I wouldn't mind trying a different kind of turkey.
You got to come over for the Chinese Thanksgiving, Ty. Bring Mama H.
Yeah.
Solid Wife Kate.
No, that sounds like a good time. Sounds like good food, good eating right there. I would try that. We actually had a Verballer last year around this time. I think we did a Q&A. He and I were going back and forth either on the Reverb line or via email. He was giving us updates as he deep fried. No, it might have been our little Snapchat. I think we had Snapchat going.
Sure.
He was giving us updates as he deep fried a turkey.
Okay.
And I wished him well that he wouldn't burn his home down, and he didn't. I think he's all right.
Yeah, I would say do not fry it frozen.
Yeah,
don't do that.
It'll be like a fire missile into the night sky, but
look up safety precautions about frying a turkey and how far away from children and homes you should be.
Yeah. All right. What do we got next?
Next question comes to us from Joanna Banana.
Okay.
Joanna is a longtime dedicated Verballer. Great to hear from you. I'm making a list of the college football stadiums I have to visit in my lifetime. What are your top 10 stadiums?
Ooh. Okay. So this list is somewhat contingent.
You don't have to list 10, Ty. Just list what you like and what people should see.
I'm obviously very biased towards Beaver Stadium.
Okay.
I'm biased towards the big stadiums because, it's just such a cool game day atmosphere. I think you need to check those out. Mm-hmm. I haven't been to as many stadiums as you have. So I've got a list all to my own that I'm interested in seeing. And keep in mind, I've seen the big ones. I've seen Michigan, Notre Dame, Penn State, all those. I'd be very curious to see Neyland Stadium at Tennessee.
Sure.
The Vol Navy, that to me is really intriguing. I'd love to see that. So Tennessee might be up near the top for me. I would also throw the Coliseum in. Not because it's so much like the best college football venue, but just because it's an iconic American venue.
Man, I wouldn't go to that's second place in that city for me.
I would throw the Coliseum in there in addition to the Rose Bowl. I know you want to say Rose Bowl. Pasadena is iconic all to itself. That might be number one on the list, but Coliseum, Rose Bowl to me, I think deserve to be on that list. I would love to go see a game at Baton Rouge, an LSU game.
Oh yeah,
I haven't been there yet, and I've heard that's an experience that, as a college football fan, everyone needs. Mm-hmm. And also Madison. I guess that gives me 5. I don't know. I'm sure I could go on and on, but Madison is one place that I have never been. I have heard consistently across the board is a ton of fun.
It is. It 100% is. So this, I apologize, Ty, and this is not personal. I would not go to Beaver Stadium.
Okay.
And this is why. Beaver Stadium was a fantastic time. The tailgating was nuts. The stadium is crazy impressive. It's so friggin' hard to get to.
Okay.
If you're not from anywhere near the Northeast and are flying in, I don't think Joanna Banana is, like flying to Philly or Pittsburgh and making that drive is rough.
It's not the best drive.
It speaks nothing to the actual experience of going to a game there at the stadium. But if you're choosing between a bunch of stadiums across the country, that would be pretty low just because of the difficulty. I would say the Rose Bowl. I would say, Clemson's pretty tough to fly into, but it's not that far from Atlanta. Clemson's super fun. I just find a mix of loud and weird. So Madison is a great answer. The Rose Bowl is iconic. You should go there. Texas A&M over Texas. Austin's great, but the stadium experience isn't anything special. I would go to Ole Miss if you haven't been to Ole Miss, because it's so different and weird and strange and at the same time really fun. If you do it right, you're not allowed to grill there. Last I checked. That's extremely fun. The Horseshoe's pretty fun. Ohio State, it's enormous. Columbus, to me, I could take or leave, but the Horseshoe was great. Ann Arbor's pretty tame. I mean, the Michigan game I went to, it was pretty tame as a stadium, but Ann Arbor's a cool town.
Yeah.
But stadium specific, I would say Autzen is very loud and fun, a little bit difficult to get to, about an hour 40 from Portland, but you can fly into Eugene. The Coliseum doesn't do a ton for me. Beyond that, I'm probably leaving out a couple that are really fun, but go to Florida. If you haven't been to Florida, it's super duper loud. Baton Rouge, Death Valley, both Death Valleys are great and loud and big and ridiculous. So those are my answers.
All right, where are we going next here?
Let's go next to, I like this question because it's so specific. Quinn the Day. What is the ideal form of potato for eating?
Ideal form of potato.
So his examples are fries, wedges, cubes, whole potatoes. So I assume like a baked potato. What is the ideal potato vehicle? Not vehicle, but ideal form for consumption?
Waffle fries.
It's a very good answer.
Waffle fries. Done and done.
See, I would want... So you need a crispy factor. Waffle fries checks that off.
Sure.
You need a meaty factor of this. You want potato meat in there. So let's get rid of shoestring fries. There are some nicer restaurants that'll twice fry. Almost, it looks like, I don't know, just chunks of potato. I don't know what it is, but they get crispy, but they're still meaty. That to me is fantastic. Hard to describe. I think waffle fry is a good answer. A battered fry is also very good. My final answer may be, could be tater tot. Tater tots in the running.
Tater tots in the running. Also, potato skins could be interesting as well.
Potato skins are interesting.
Yeah.
I might settle on well done hash browns, Ty.
Okay, I could see that.
I like the shredness.
Yeah.
Shreddiness. I love the crisp factor. There's a buttery quality to it. You can mix it with salsa or whatever, hot sauce or ketchup if you're a disgusting human. So that to me is the ultimate vehicle that checks every box.
Next question. Let's go a couple more here because we got to get to our special guest.
Which Power 5 conference has the best lineup of mascots?
Wow. Okay.
So best is a relative term.
Best is a relative term. I need to pull up the ESPN standings here. One of my favorites is clearly the Michigan State Spartan.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
The Michigan State Spartan to me is among the very best. He did say Power 5, which means we need to exclude the wonder that is Western Kentucky and the Hilltoppers.
Right.
Yeah, see, the thing about the Big Ten East is that it's really only Michigan State. Brutus is cool.
Right.
But beyond that, I could take or leave the Nittany Lion. Sorry.
Brutus
I like the bigger, foamier mascots. Mm-hmm. So I'd probably leave the Nittany Lion out. The Big Ten West, I don't think anything special.
I think the answer is clearly the Big 12.
The Big 12?
So you've got the Horned Frog, which is great.
Very great.
You have the Kansas State mascot, which is a Wildcat in a full football uniform.
Right.
Which doesn't fully make sense, but I like it nonetheless. You've got at least one mascot with a giant old gun in West Virginia and the Mountaineer.
Yeah, see, I'm not a fan of the human mascot. I like the big caricature.
So you don't like the fighting Irishman?
Could take
Leprechaun?
Could take or leave the Leprechaun.
Okay. I appreciate your candor.
Yeah.
You got Pistol Pete.
Pistol Pete's pretty awesome.
I mentioned Pistol Pete. You've got whatever, Texas Tech has a couple now, I guess. You got the Matador, whatever. Baylor used to have a bear. They may still have a bear. I don't think they do. Jayhawk is fine. Nothing special. But I think that's the answer. There's nothing that really does it for me in the Pac-12 beyond the Duck.
I do like the Bulldog for Georgia and the Eagle for Auburn. Also, LSU has a live mascot. Yeah,
I guess Colorado
tiger.
has that too.
So, okay. So what do we settle on? Let's go.
I'm not a fan of the live mascot in the cage, though.
I know. We've had that discussion before.
Yeah.
So let's settle on the Big 12 then.
Big 12. There it is.
All right.
This is a good question that is very, very easy to answer. What is the coldest temperature you've ever experienced? Mine is -25. That's not me speaking. That's Will.
Will in Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
Longtime listener, Virginia fan, Will in Minnesota.
Have you dipped into the negative numbers?
In Eastern PA? Oh, yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Lowest temperature I've ever experienced. I don't know if I could put a specific number on it.
And this is not including wind chill. This is just like what your phone would display.
Right. I don't know about negative
say at a bank.
5. I feel like we've gotten to negative 10 here in Eastern PA. And I felt that already.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you do on a negative 10 day? Do you have a garage?
You pump up the heat, and that's about it.
Do you have, like, where is your car stored? Is it a garage? Is it a covered thing? Are you parking on the street?
No, it's a garage. It's a garage.
Okay, so at least your car will start and is protected and won't ice over.
Well, that assumes that my garage door is insulated, which it is currently not. So even on a cold day...
Get on that, Ty.
Even on a cold day, it can sometimes be a bit of an issue.
Okay, fair. I think I've hit 0 here in New York. I believe 0, 1, 2, somewhere in that vicinity. All I remember is hating it and being told by my wife that was nothing because she's from Chicago, which I never understood people having pride over surviving low temperatures. That tells me that you've made drastic mistakes and where you've chosen to live. She told me that she used to walk to work in Chicago when she lived there. And it would get so cold sometimes that, one, people walk backwards. Have you heard about that? To avoid the wind in their faces?
I have not heard of that per se, but it does make sense.
And 2, she would duck into like a drugstore every block.
Okay.
Dwayne Reed, a Rite Aid kind of thing, just to have that intermittent thaw.
Yeah.
Which, if you're living your life like that, what are you doing?
Yeah. Okay.
Any more questions that jump out to you, Ty? Oh, I do have one more.
Let's go one more. One more. You get the pick here.
This is great. This comes to us from Chris. This is, related. Thanksgiving high school reunions at bars. Thoughts?
Oh, this is a fantastic question.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic question. Have you ever been to one of these before? Have you ever done this?
I have not. I was invited to because I graduated from high school, Ty. I was invited to my 10-year reunion, but didn't really want to go. And I had a good built-in excuse. There was a lot of football that night. So this would have been 2011. So we were doing the show. I was working.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't want to. It's like rivalry weekend. I don't want to miss it to see people in this day and age, Ty, as old people say. You can stay in contact with whoever you want.
Right. Yeah, of course.
So I opted not to go.
Yeah.
Did you go or have you gone?
Oh, I've gone. And it's usually held, or it's been held in the past, at a couple different spots. It's never been openly declared, everyone go here, everyone go there. But keep in mind, I grew up in a relatively small town.
Mm-hmm.
And so the high school reunions would kind of informally take place at one of two bars. And usually the way it works is it's either the bowling alley or another sports bar at the other end of town. And you walk in there, it's always a little awkward when you see people from high school that you haven't seen in a while. It's never the
intentionally.
What's that?
Intentionally,
sure. But it's always a lot of the same, like, oh, where do you work? What do you do? Where do you live? Things like that. A lot of the same kinds of conversations. And if you were there with a group of friends, you tend to gravitate towards your group. On occasion, talk to somebody else you haven't seen in a while, blah, blah, blah. Here's what I'd say about that, Chris. You've got a window of opportunity of about 5 years after high school, after which you just start feeling old.
Okay.
Because then it's younger brothers, then it's younger sisters of people that you went to high school with, people that you're not sure are 21. You start looking around thinking, wow, this is a young crowd here. Are these people supposed to be here? Before you know it, you start feeling old.
Right.
And while you might go to Thanksgiving Eve to celebrate and have a few drinks and catch up with some old friends, after that 5-year period, it starts working in reverse. And you start just feeling worse about yourself because you're getting old. Father Time's creeping up on you. So I'd say if you're within that window of opportunity, that cone of uncertainty, go for it. Otherwise, stay at home, play some games. Play something on the old PS4. I don't know.
So did you went to the 10-year reunion?
No, I didn't go to a 10-year reunion.
You went to 5.
Yeah, I mean, it was never a formal reunion per se. It was never like everyone gathered here.
Gathering. Yeah.
More just a gathering. I did go to a 5-year high school reunion one time at a local park, and I was there for about 15 minutes and then left.
That's rough. Let me ask you
another friend.
The question I think everybody wants to know.
Please.
How many people did you hook up with? Now, that actually is a thing, and it's fantastic if that's great for everybody. But no, there were 2 people at my high school who I don't think ever dated or ever. I was just sort of neutral on them, and they ended up like getting together at the 10-year reunion and got married and had a couple kids. Like, all right, that's good for something. When you went to your reunion or went to the unofficial reunions, what was the ratio of whoa to whoa?
It was more whoa.
Oh, yeah. That's life, man.
More whoa. The thing that struck me at my 5-year reunion, and I mean no disrespect to people who have children. I know, like most of the people I know at this point have kids.
Sure.
So they're great. I
love this preface. I'm curious to see where it's going.
Well, 5-year reunion, what I found was that we got there. It was at a local park. And there was one table of people who had children and brought their kids, and then another table of people who didn't. And it was almost as if there were a moat between those 2 groups of people. And it was very awkward. They didn't interact with one another, even though they were there at the same spot, presumably to, catch up on old times. But that divide was very awkward to me and very notable because it just seemed like there was an iciness between the haves and the have-nots.
Weird.
Yeah. So I haven't gone back to any reunion since, and I don't anticipate I ever will. It's just a really weird experience for me.
I think I will go way down the line.
Like your 60-year reunion?
Oh, man, if I'm still kicking, sure. 40, I think 40 I would go to, sure.
That's a good question that I would pose for people out there. At what denomination would you be willing to go to your high school reunion?
I think I would go to 20.
20?
Yeah.
I would probably do 20.
Sure. Yeah, that'll be fun.
I'm probably creeping up on 20 at this point. Oof.
Actual last question. This is only a 10-second answer. Ty, who'd win in a pickup basketball game?
You.
Between
you. I'm retired for basketball.
I'm semi-retired, but I think I'd take me. Yeah.
No, you would beat me. You're taller. You're better at basketball. I blew my shoulder out playing basketball a couple years ago.
That's right.
And I'm retired. So I'd be a one-armed man out there. I'd all but forfeit to you.
Yeah, I got to re-challenge you in ping pong, though. That's a low light.
You can't beat me at ping pong, but basketball.
Well, I didn't play you when I had my goggles, Ty.
Oh, okay. When are we going to do this?
Game.
How are we going to do this? We do need to set up the ping pong game.
I'll bring my goggles down to Atlanta. We'll find a bar with ping pong. Sure.
But I mean, people need to realize that this is hardcore ping pong. Like we're putting spin, backspin.
Sure.
Full-on serves. The real deal. We're not...
Ty's sponsored. People don't realize that.
I'm sponsored by Stiga. Okay. Where are we going next? What is our special guest situation?
So our special guest situation is we are very proud to welcome in. This is pre-taped. I know the illusions of podcasting. But we were able to catch up with Kirk Herbstreit, of course, from ESPN's Game Day about all sorts of topics. And I don't think we've ever had him on, right?
No,
we've had other Game Day people. But never Kirk, and was very excited with the opportunity we have. So I guess, Ty, unless there's anything you want to add, let's just cut to this fun little time with Kirk.
Let's do it.
All right, we are now pretty pumped to have on Kirk Herbstreit, of course, from ESPN. You listen to him all the time, whether you want to or not. He is in your life, and that's a good thing. Kirk, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, Dan?
I'm fantastic. Appreciate you taking the time. And so you're working with Coors Light. What does this involve? What are you doing?
I've been working with them now for a couple years, and just have really enjoyed the relationship. They've partnered now with more than 40 programs throughout the country, and this year, earlier back in August, they launched their new rewards app. It's the Coors Light XP, and Coors Light is rewarding fans that are 21 years and older in the app, where they can earn really just one-of-a-kind experiences. For example, a chance to come down to Atlanta for the big game and meet me. If they search Coors Light or Coors Light XP in the App Store, they can download that today. And all they have to do for some bonus points is use the special code Kirk Football by the end of the day, Friday, and they'll earn an extra 100 points thanks to Coors Light.
All right, let's begin here then, because you mentioned coming down to Atlanta. You're on the road for however many consecutive weeks during the season. Here's an exercise. I give you $14 to spend at an airport, newsstand, gift shop type place. How are you spending it? What are we thinking? Snacks, entertainment? What's the move?
Probably a huge water.
Yep.
Number one.
Gotta hydrate.
Yeah, gotta hydrate. $14, man, that's tight. This will surprise you because I'm an old school newspaper guy. So I would probably get a USA Today, or if I were in Atlanta, I'd get the local paper. Mm-hmm. And then probably a pack of, I like the extra gum, the Polar Mint. It tends to be, I kind of go in, depending on the time of the year, but this time of year I go with Polar Mint. Would probably be it. And I don't know if I'd have a whole lot of money left over at that point. I think that the water gets expensive these days.
Staying fresh in breath and in mind. I appreciate that.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
It's now November, obviously. This is when everyone has a strong 100% true opinion about everything college football. Everybody thinks every media member hates their team, so I'm giving you the opportunity. Sure. Come clean. This is a safe space. Who do you hate the most?
Well, I hate everybody.
Sure.
So that's been established, from the get-go. I don't know if I hate. I don't know if I hate anybody more than anybody else. I think there's only so much hate to spread out, so I think I just hate everybody.
Is there a
equally.
fan base? Is there a fan base that's most convinced?
Depending the year, it would depend on the year. Right now, I would probably. Well, Nebraska fans think I hate them every year. Mm-hmm. They probably are the ringleader.
Yep.
Because I happen to be a objective realist when it comes to their program and not being 1995 anymore, so I should know better than that. Right now, I would probably say Georgia.
Interesting.
It's funny when I'm objective about Georgia, they'll say, and they're dead serious. They'll say, "Yeah, you got to quit. You got to let go of that Citrus Bowl back in '93. Just because we beat you, you can't be dogging us all the time." I'm like, really? I mean, that's what you got to come up with for me to be upset with Georgia. So yeah, I would say Georgia, but Nebraska every single year gets upset. The Florida fans were upset with me early in the year because I didn't think they had a very good team, and they were really aggressive. And obviously things have changed for them, so they've got bigger things on their mind right now than being upset with me. But yeah, it's pretty universal for me, especially for some reason.
Sure. And you got some flack a few weeks ago about your comments regarding the Pac-12, and obviously I think there's a legitimate longer conversation about the challenges of playing in the Pacific time zone. But my question, or I guess theory, is more, do Pac-12 teams need to, more so than other conferences, need to have stars and personality, coaches, players, whatever, preferably at schools with big established brands to cut through what is a sport with a lot of national and regional noise?
Well, they've had that, and it hasn't worked. And so let me put it this way. I've been doing this for 22 years, and I've gotten to a point where I probably appreciate the Pac-12 more than anybody who follows the sport, because my eyes have been opened to being, a guy who grew up in the Midwest, and, the Rose Bowl was always unique, and the Pac-10 then, now the Pac-12 and the Big Ten getting together. Always looked at the Pac-12 or the Pac-10 back then and just kind of thought of USC and UCLA. And when I started on game day, it was just kind of the beginning of where Oregon was going and taking off. And then obviously they went to a whole different level with Chip Kelly, and game day would get out there, and it was a lot of fun to see Pac-12 football. And I think when I'd left the Pac-12 and went into the SEC or the Big Ten, and I would talk about Oregon or USC, and people would kind of roll their eyes as if they were second-class citizens. And I took that really personally, even though I wasn't a Pac-12 guy. I just said, man, you guys are missing the boat. Pac-12 is legit. And so I've always kind of taken pride in trying to promote the Pac-12. And so what I was talking about when I said Washington should be thanking ESPN, I was really saying that on behalf of the Pac-12, not ESPN, because their games now at least are on ESPN.
Sure.
At least they're being seen by fans in the SEC and the Big Ten, even though they're late at night. That was my big thing. I mean, Toby Gerhart played at Stanford, and he finished second in the Heisman. And when he was there, if I would have said to a Florida fan or a Texas A&M fan or an Ohio State fan, hey, tell me about the running back from Stanford. What's his name? No, none of them would have known. What's his jersey number? Who's their head coach? They would have known any of that. And the same thing with Christian McCaffrey. You know, people wouldn't really know much about him. If you asked a fan today, who's the head coach at Stanford, people would know. And who's the head coach at Oregon, people don't know. And so this has been going on for decades, this challenge. So Larry Scott, the new commissioner, he's trying to change this. He's trying everything he can to try to get the conference exposure. But if you put the SEC in that time zone, they would have the same issues. This isn't a personal attack on the Pac-12.
Sure.
It's trying to figure out how do we help the Pac-12, because for people in the East Coast and Central Time Zone, you know, football starts at noon Eastern. And, you know, for the Pac-12, those 10 o'clock games for the East Coast, most people are either asleep or passed out, you know, or whatever they've done throughout their Saturday. So it's I don't know what the answer is really, but it's something that I if anybody has an idea, I would love to be a part of trying to help fix it, because I feel bad for the Pac-12.
Yeah, I think honestly that, you know, in situations where Pac-12 teams have the opportunity to travel farther east, like USC last year against Alabama, they needed to be better.
Absolutely.
Early on, they needed to be so much better to raise their sort of their Q quotient kind of thing.
And the only reason Oregon became relevant, because my kids were at a perfect age where they were brainwashed Ohio State fans, and yet they loved Oregon. And they loved the uniforms. They loved the style of offense. They loved the speed in which they played. And I'm going back to like the Mariota,
sure,
and even before that, LaMichael James and Kenyon Barner, and that my kids just were fascinated by Oregon. So Oregon, because of marketing, they were the only team to really break through the barrier. And keep in mind, though, they played in Knoxville against Tennessee and blew them out. They went to Ann Arbor with Dennis Dixon and blew them out in the Big House. They played LSU at Jerry Jones's stadium and in a neutral site, and people thought that was a blowout, but they had some key injuries in a competitive game for 3 quarters. But there was a willingness there for them to go to Dallas and play LSU. So they kind of caught lightning in a bottle and really took advantage of it. But I think the marketing and the uniforms and the style of play had as much to do with people becoming aware of Oregon, and they became very trendy for about, 5 or 7 years.
Sure. And sort of back to November conversation stuff. And, obviously everybody hates you, so that's, you've already made peace with that.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own personal tie-breaking preferences in figuring out their own top 4. Mine personally, I look at quarterback play. I hate that we're on a streak of shutouts in the college football playoff, and I think I'd rather see a one-loss, Baker Mayfield in this than an undefeated, say, Alex Hornibrook. In your mind, what tips things when comparing similarly, we'll call it, deserving teams?
Yeah, that's a great way, and it's very cool to recognize that everybody has their own thing.
Sure,
doesn't make it wrong. It's everybody has their own thing. I like the quarterback play because I think it's played out, and we've seen the importance of that. I would add defense. Look at Oklahoma when they had Baker Mayfield and they went up against Clemson that year in the Orange Bowl, and they got blown out. Baker Mayfield was a Heisman finalist, and that Clemson defense ate him alive. And if you look, other than Oklahoma that year, if you look at the other 11 of 12 teams that have qualified and made it into the playoffs, they all play really good defense. And so I think it's a combination of, do they have a defense that can keep them in the game? Do they have a quarterback that's kind of unique? Have they been on the road? Have they been tested away from home and had to be able to come together and find a way to win some really tough games that I think fans sometimes look down at and don't think, oh, they weren't any good. And you and I both know, have you ever been to this stadium? Have you ever been in front of that crowd? That's a great win for them to be able to go down there in conference play and find a way to get that W. So I don't think it's one thing for me. I think it's really kind of a combination of things. And at the end of the day, if you're really splitting hairs, who would you not want to play is a big thing. Like, just because I watch these teams every single week. I don't watch tape. I try to watch them all live, and you get a really good vibe for how a team plays and what they're capable of when you watch the ebb and flow of a live football game for 15 straight weeks. It gives you, I think, a very good perspective, and I try to do that as much as I can every single week. And so then I think, okay, I wouldn't want to play them, or that team. I wouldn't be that wouldn't be that bad playing them. Sometimes that also can play into it for me.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what's your watch plan? Obviously, at night you're calling games on Saturday. During the day, you can have TVs in front of you, but there are so many games. There's so much to watch, and if you say, okay, well, I've watched this Michigan game, but I don't know how good Minnesota actually is because I haven't watched Minnesota, something like that. What is your watch plan over the course of the week?
Well, this is the one area I'm not very good at many things in my life, but I'm very, 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 for whatever reason, capable of multitasking. And it's not because of my job. It's just it's a hobby. If I weren't doing what I do on College Game Day and ESPN, ABC, I would be doing it at home. I have, a room that has TVs, and I'm one of those guys that can watch 4 games at once and have an idea of what's happening in all 4 of those games.
Wow. And
so what we do on the back of our bus, we have 5 TVs set up, and the one in the middle is the one we all argue over what's going to get the big screen in the middle. Fowler and I and Felica, we all kind of go through that, and then once we settle on the games, we get them all up, and we just sit there and absorb it all day. And what's crazy is we go through the noon Eastern window, we go to the 3:30 window, and then I typically go out. I do the 8 o'clock game on ABC. I typically go out on the field at about 7 o'clock and talk with some coaches and players. And then I go up into the booth, and I have my director. You can't even imagine the amount of monitors that I have up in my booth. They're in front of me for the game I'm calling. But I've requested to my right, I have the game I'm calling stats monitor, and then I have a 4-box of games that if there's any night game at 8 o'clock on NBC or CBS or Fox or whatever, I've got those, the most relevant and pressing towards the rankings. I have those TVs up as well. So that's to call a game and to try to absorb a game on your right. That's a pretty challenging thing, but one that I always look forward to every single week. And because what I do is when the game's over, then I'm on SportsCenter for for a while, and they'll ask me about games, whether it's been earlier in the day or the games that have happened that I didn't call, and so I need to be plugged in on all those games. So yeah, I that's something I take very, very seriously, and probably the best perk of my job is watching college football is my job, and I have to be ready to do it.
Final and most important question, I know you got to run. What is the single best plate of food that you've had this season?
Oh my gosh.
See, that's a lot more difficult than talking playoff.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, that's a really tough one. I would probably say in Tuscaloosa at 5 has been my the table 5. It's a really good spot if you haven't been. 5 and Chuck's in Tuscaloosa have been great. The Smoking Pig at Clemson never lets us down. That's another one that's really good. So those two for now stand out, but that's something we try to challenge ourselves every year on. Jeff Ruby's Steakhouse, another one. We had that earlier this year at Louisville, so I might give him the nod, just because it's the apps.
Yeah, what's your order
the main
there?
Entree. It just this is going to sound crazy. We go a little excessive on apps.
That's fine.
And so we just want to be able to taste a little bit of everything. And then I typically like to talk myself into being healthy, so I'll get fish. And then I've come up with something called For the Middle. And so you can't go to Jeff Ruby's Steakhouse and not get a steak. So we can all order fish or whatever we want to get.
Table steak.
And then I'll order a fillet for the middle.
I like that.
And then they'll cut it up for us. And then that way you don't have to eat an entire 8-ounce steak, but you really want to taste the steak, but you don't want to ask the person next to you, can I taste your steak?
Sure.
So you just get a steak for the middle, and then everybody can kind of have a bite or two. So that's what we do. And then we get tons of sides, too. His sides are crazy good. So if you ever get a chance, they're popping up. He's got one in Nashville now, and Louisville, and, of course, in Cincinnati. But, yeah, Jeff Ruby Steakhouse is ridiculous.
Your legacy may be table steak. I think that's brilliant. That's fantastic. Table steak.
Everybody laughs at that we do for the middle, and then they all partake. And then they go home and they go out to dinner with their wives and friends, and then they do for the middle. I need to open up a restaurant for the middle.
For the middle. I'm totally stealing this.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time. Thank you very much, and good luck the rest of the way out.
All right, man. You too. Take care, Dan.
All right, cool. Thank you, Mr. Herbstreit, for stopping by, giving us some of your precious time. We appreciate it. He will be on the call for, I guess, Notre Dame Miami this weekend.
Ooh.
Yeah, big Saturday night football game. Lord knows we'll be paying very close attention to it here. Thank you to everyone for sending in those questions. They came from all sorts of places, from Twitter, from Facebook, from Reddit, via email, voicemail, text message, you name it. They came in from all sorts of different locations. We couldn't thank you enough for your interest. We'll do more of these as the season goes on.
I'm
we've
100%
only got a couple weeks left, but we'll find a way to do more of these to allow people to kind of ask whatever's on their mind. No, we rambled a little bit here, but thank you for bearing with us. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the show on Apple, on Spotify, on Google, anywhere you can find podcasts. You can subscribe to The Solid Verbal. Tell your friends, rate the show. All that stuff helps. We're selling a shirt again, Dan. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's absolutely correct. CottonBureau.com for the shirt, the second printing. And we're very proud of it. And we're thankful everybody has supported us because we love doing this show for you.
Absolutely. We're also in the early stages of putting together a live show for Atlanta.
Yes.
Atlanta.
With friends.
With friends. It's going to be presumably the weekend right before the College Football National Championship. So stay tuned if you're interested. We'll hopefully have more details forthcoming for you on that. Hope to see you out there. That's all I got, Dan.
I can't wait to share steak with the full table and order something else. Kirk Herbstreit blew my mind.
It's a pro tip.
It's the for the middle. It sounds so simple. I'd rather get a piece of salmon or chicken parm or something like that at a steakhouse and just a couple slices of something. Couple slices of the porterhouse, whatever.
Pro move. Okay. Thank you again to everyone out there for playing along with our madness. Thank you again to Kirk Herbstreit for stopping by, giving us some of his wisdom. For that guy over there, my good friend Dan Rubenstein, for myself, Ty Hildebrand, we will catch you all on Sunday. In the meantime, stay solid.
Peace.